Strap into your seats and get ready. It's time for the Mortarpod.
Hey everybody, it's Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mortarpod. Jake and I discuss F&M results from the, I believe, what is it now, the second week of Theros Standard Constructed. So, mixed results. I did poorly again, unfortunately, but Jake did really well. So we go through our lists that we played, what we're planning to change, stuff like that. We also dive into the top 8 in Raleigh. So we'll give you those results, and you get to see it's a diverse meta right now, so it feels pretty good. I'm liking where that's at. I want to remind you the Mortarpod is brought to you by Verencamp.com, VEHRENKAMP.com. Scott Verencamp designed Magic, or SeemsGoodMagic.com, our website, and he did a great job. So I really want to just give him a shout out and urge you to check out his portfolio. Also, check out SeemsGoodMagic.com. I'm posting 4 Theros draft videos already, and plenty more on the way. You can catch me live streaming at www.twitch.tv/Inez27, and I do that Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Time. And I've already done a few streams and put up some drafts on there, so plenty of content to look at. All right, well, I'm just going to cut it short on the intro this week. Enjoy this episode. Hey, Jake.
Hey, Alex.
You want to talk about some Magic?
No.
Well, I'm going to anyway. So this week, we're going to do our F&M reports for you. And then we're going to look at the most recent standard constructed results and lists. So I'll go first since I ended up dropping, but I still do really like the direction I'm taking the deck. So I'm doing sort of red deck wins, splash white for some Boros stuff like Chain to the Rocks and War Leader's Helix and Boros Charm. So it's a light splash, but I want to have access to those spells. And I did pretty good. I mean, I went 1-2, but I still felt like I went to game 3 every time, and it really was like a coin toss. In both of the ones I lost, it was like neck and neck, so it was very close. So I ended up playing, my matches were green-white, round 1, and then round 2 I played mono-green, and then round 3 I played Naya, and I lost to the mono-green and the Naya, so then I dropped, but the white really helps. I can stop the Unflinching Courage, which is like the big threat against the red deck wins. They really can't deal with a big creature that, I mean, they can Skull Crack, but they're still banking on having that Skull Crack. So it's nice to have Chain to the Rocks so you, out of sideboard, have an answer for the stuff they're trying to, aura up. I also like that Chain to the Rocks kills admin to the worm without any risk of them getting the worm back once you've, successfully resolved it. So I feel good about the deck even though I went 1-2. I think I'm going to tweak it a little bit. I think right now I have a little bit too much burn. I don't think I'm going to keep Magma Jet around any longer. I like it a lot. I feel like the deck is going to need more creatures. I saw a red deck wins list. I can probably look for that real quick, but that was running... where is it? One sec. It was running Dynacharge. It was running 4 Dynacharge, and I kind of am intrigued by that, and I want to see if any of these other lists are doing that, because I thought it was a cool idea. If you're running like 30 creatures and you've got enough mana to support it, I really think Dynacharge could do it. Fire Fist Striker is just such an amazing card in the format right now. It gets past the Reckoners, it gets past the Smiters, the big deal creatures. It really gets by them. And then having the burn, in addition to that, really gets out of control because it's like, kill that guy, make that guy unable to block, and all my guys get in. So that's always sick. But I really think Dynacharge could go a long way. So I'm going to try that out. I'm going to add some Gorehouse Chainwalkers. And up the count a little bit. I just had a little bit too many times where it was like I had a bunch of magma jets and I wasn't dealing enough damage fast enough. So I think it just needs a few more creatures and some ways to get by their guys.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even shortcutter out of the sideboard or something. Like
Yeah.
I could consider that. I actually just like that Boros Charm makes your guys indestructible. So you can
Yeah.
attack with everything and be like, okay.
Boros Charm is so good in an aggro deck. So, it's perfect for the strategy that Boros wants to be.
Protect from Supreme Verdict,
Mm.
which always is amazing,
If there's ever potential that double strike will win you the game, that's always good,
Mm-hmm.
versus the 4 damage, I mean. Or even save your creature, like, Zippy had it against me with Archangel of Thune and Mutavault, and I was going to block, I think I talked about this play like a couple weeks ago. I blocked with my Mutavault, and he was going to Boros Charm, but I negated it. But it would have been devastating if he Boros Charmed his Archangel, gave his Mutavault the counter, and then gave...
So the Mutavault in combat would be stronger?
Yeah.
That is sick. Yeah, that's a good point. So Boros Charm definitely has some versatility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's a combat trick.
There's a lot of good ways to use Boros Charm beyond just 4 damage to the face or indestructibility.
Mm-hmm.
Like that
you're
double
right.
strike can come in handy on offense or defense.
It's burn and 2 kind of relevant combat tricks. So that's cool.
And not to say that this is something or a place that Boros should go or needs to go, but if you were going to do a heroic deck, Boros Charm would definitely fit that bill too, because it has a mode that allows you to get a
targeted
heroic.
thing. That's a good point. That's kind of cool. Yeah, we haven't seen a heroic list yet.
I think it's hard to make it.
Yeah, you have to be running a lot of targeted stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there are bestow cards, but they made bestow expensive, so it's not quite constructed, playable, but excellent and limited.
Aside from maybe a couple cards that you could put in as like part of your creature suite, like Annex and Simi, they're at least a 3/2 Vigilance first strike guy, at 3 mana, so you could just play that without ever hoping to do heroic.
Yeah, totally. So I think those are going to be the changes to the deck that I make. I like I said, any match I lost, I went to game 3. So I really think the deck is powerful. I think it's in a good place. You can really just steamroll people sometimes. Fire Drinker Satyr, I still like it a lot. Sylvan Caryatid seems to be a card that's kind of catching on, and it's a powerful card. So having a way to, threaten to kill it so they can't use it as a blocker is really good. It kind of makes it more versatile than Rakdos Cackler in that instance. And also because Cackler can't do anything about Soldier of the Pantheon. So there are some shortcomings to Cackler over Satyr. And, you're Suicide Red, really, so the fact that you're taking damage from Satyr isn't a big deal. It's the value of getting him early. That is a big deal.
Right.
But, I like the deck. I'm going to try Down and Charge Out, see if I like it. But that's where I'm at with it. I only played 3 rounds this Friday, so I was going to record something, but I figured I did so terrible. I'd wait until, because it's not even, I was missing some cards from the final list that I wanted to do.
Right.
I didn't have like the perfect list that I wanted, so I would have liked to had some swaps. I really think 4 Chain to the Rock out of the side is going to be essential, because there are a lot of decks that are running big old creatures like Desecration Demons and Loxodon Smiters and Unflinching Courage.
Yeah.
You need an Advent to the Worm tokens. You really need to just take those fat guys out like for 1 mana and get in.
It's true, yeah. They're very strong.
And the Scrylands actually play fine, even though I'm running, it's only 4 come into play tap lands, and it's 22 lands, and I'm not running Ash Zealot, so I don't really need double red that bad. It also gives more value to the Burning Tree Emissary, because anytime you can do like Emissary Chainwalker, you're so far ahead on the board, and then Dynacharge the next turn, and it's just outrageous how much damage you're doing,
Yeah.
You could clean them up easy with Lightning Strikes and Boros Charms after that. So I'm going to see if I can get some explosive plays like that consistently. If I can't, I'll tune it a little bit more. But I still think I think all you need is red and white, because I think white can deal with anything right now. I can't think of anything that I can't deal with. The only thing is like Fleecemane Lion, if it monstrosities, or other hexproof. But, no one can really deal with that. The only thing is like Supreme Verdict, but that doesn't even deal with Fleecemane Lion. The indestructible hexproof or whatever.
Yeah, with Fleecemane Lion, it takes a lot of work for a control deck to take it out if it's monstrosity.
You have
But,
to devour flesh maybe or something.
Yeah. If you can find a way to just block it infinitely, though, like Elspeth, getting Elspeth down is like, because it doesn't gain trample, it's just hexproof indestructible.
No, but if they're playing in those colors,
If they have
probably got
Nilia or anything, or yeah, unflinching courage would be like the absolute. Oh. But you can detention sphere and unflinching courage.
That's true. So you can at least target that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. And control usually have, at least in the late game, access to a good amount of resources.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point. The later they go, the better they're
Yeah,
doing.
they might even be able to counter your unflinching courage too, because you'll probably wait until you monstrosity or fleecemane lion to do it. You know.
And actually, we're going to look at lists that we're running in the cyclonic rifts, so that's even a way to deal with the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. Yeah, and mono green looks really good right now. I think Reverend Hunter came up huge against me.
That one was a shocker for me. I wasn't expecting that one to be so good, but that one is devastating. And on turn 3, if just as a 4/4 for 3, it could be really good. You know,
I had experiment 1 into Burning Tree Emissary and one more.
Like Scavenging Ooze or something.
And then the next, all I remember is the Reverend Hunter came out as a 6/6 when it finally came out. And it was,
you know, and I think if you played Sylvan Caryatid, and I know that you don't in that deck, you could actually pump it twice on second turn, your Experiment 1, and then, yeah, but the Reverend Hunter never pumps an evolved creature unless it has 0 power, because it triggers when it enters the battlefield.
Oh, I see.
Not
Okay.
enters the battlefield with it. It triggers so that it can count its own devotion.
I see. Okay. That kind of makes sense. So it doesn't work that well with
it's not great with Evolve, but it's a great card for mono green. And
yeah, it's pretty efficient.
And huge once they play Anilia the turn after, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
That's true. So that deck definitely gave me some problems. It was running Colonian Tuskers too. So it's interesting to see, you know, the 2-drop 3/3s. I feel like it's really good.
Yep.
I mean, it's mono green. He's got Elvish Mystic, other cool stuff like that. It was a cool deck. Seems very powerful. Colonian Hydras, you know, they just take games over.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then the last round I played against Naya, and that was a lot of Planeswalkers and just really good, just good value stuff like Reckoners and Domries and Elspeth. I think even Elspeth maybe.
And I think he's playing Stormbreaths too. So, well, he definitely is.
And Sylvan Caryatid. Yeah. And so there's just you get a really good mix of stuff in those 3 colors. So that was a close match. We took it to game 3, and it was really close. It really came down to multiple Stormbreath Dragons. So they're not quite, you know, the Thundermaw Hellkites, but they're still really good. They're very good. And being pro-white is actually super relevant against me. It really means like Mizium Mortars is a key card. And I think that is the case. I think Mizium Mortars is a really important card right now. Smiter especially, got to be able to take that out. But Stormbreath Dragon's the huge one, because that card is actually played a lot. So that's all I got to report. Like I said, upgrades are going to be Dynacharge and Gorehouse Chainwalker. So, Jake, you want to go through how you did on Friday?
I played a Simic, flash deck. It wasn't... After I played it, I went home and looked on MTG Salvation, and there was, a list for the Simic flash deck there. It wasn't the same as that, but it was close enough that I feel like I can call it that. So it's basically going for Horizon Chimera and, you know, Boon Satyr value. So Horizon Chimera is a 4-mana, 2 colorless, 1 green, 1 blue, flying, flash, trample, 3/2. Whenever you draw a card, you gain 1 life. And what this card does in the deck is allow you to race with people that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. White-green is one of the particular ones, mostly because of the drawing you cards and gaining life at the same time. If you ever are able to draw more cards, it just puts you way out of range. So in retrospect, what I'm trying to do, I should really be playing with white as well, go Bant, so I can play Sphinx's Revelation and really get value off of Horizon Chimera. But as a 3/2 evasion guy, he usually gets in every turn that after you play him. A lot of people aren't threatened by him, so they just leave him on the board. And meanwhile, you have bigger guys on the ground. I play Arbor Colossus and Polychronos in my deck too. So as soon as this guy's out, I'm ready to just play big fat shit as well, and just start going to town on him. And then I also run 2 Prime Speaker of Zagana in the deck to take advantage of Horizon Canopy, or Chimera. And Prime Speaker is 6 mana, 1/1, 2 colorless, 2 blue, 2 green. When she enters with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the greatest power among other creatures I control, and then when she enters, you draw cards equal to its power. So, you know, if you have a Polychronos out, or if you have a Arbor Colossus, it draws you 6 or 7 cards, and it has a 6/6 or 7/7 body, you know. I did one time draw 7, gain 7 off of it, but it was a little too cutesy. I probably would cut this for Sphinx's Revelation if I wanted to go into white. I'd still play... Actually, I'm not sure if I would want to play Arbor Colossus and Polychronos. They're very good, but I feel like I'd also want to be running Supreme Verdict or something, some good removal, so having more creatures in the deck is actually a problem. So I'd probably stick with Aetherling, Elspeth, and just keep the Horizon Chimeras as something early to throw out. So when I'm playing Divination or other spells that just draw me a card like Cycling and Azorius Charm, I'm at least gaining life too. But I went 2-1 and then drew into top 8. My first match was white-black control, and I did really well against it. I was really happy with my game against that. I'm playing a lot of threats, though, so he couldn't spot remove me well enough to keep up. He thought sees me, and it didn't really affect me because I just kept playing more guys, and they kept getting bigger. And he really had to search for answers. Couldn't get his Obsidian Blink thing going because he needed a blocker. You know, it was just not going well for him by the end of it. But it, you know, black-white is a good deck, and I'm glad that I got to play against it. Yeah, Obsidian, of course, is the 5/5 for 5, 1 colorless, 2 white, 2 black. When it enters, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. And at the beginning of your end step, you may exile it. If you do, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. At the beginning of your next upkeep, it gains haste. So interesting things to note about this. It works really well with Whip of Erebos, which will bring back a creature from your graveyard and then exile it permanently at end of turn. But because you have an exile trigger here, you can actually also exile it instead and bring it back during your next upkeep and keep that loop going forever.
Yeah.
It also works well with Whip because it has lifelink then, so it's a 5/5 lifelink.
Yeah, it's really strong.
Yeah, Whip is a very great card. I really like it with Obsidian in particular, but it's a very good card.
And was V playing that? Like,
Yeah.
was the white? Okay, so that's in the black-white control list as well. And they're doing like Desecration Demon, right?
I think so. I think so. I can't remember for
I'm
sure.
pretty
but
sure
I'm
it
pretty
is.
sure it is. Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see in a second.
Yeah.
Anyway, so okay, so it was your match 2?
Yeah, I think that was just 2-0. That was my first round. My match 2 was Junk, and he beat me pretty hard, pretty badly. He had Voice of Resurgence, which was a real problem. I want to be flashing things in. I'm playing Boon Satyr and Horizon Chimera, so I'm trying to just play during my opponent's turn as well as have the opportunity to counter something on their turn if I need to. And that Voice of Resurgence just flies right in the face of that strategy. And then without any real hard removal, it gets really difficult to answer a Voice of Resurgence as well. I went to game 3 against that deck, but out of the board I played Hunt the Hunted and really thought that was great against the whole thing, you know, his whole lineup of creatures. It's all Smiter and...
Was it good?
Yeah, it worked out really well.
Cool.
I like Hunt the Hunted. If you're mono green, you should probably play 3 out of the board, maybe, because there is so much green out there.
What are some of the other creatures you're playing besides Horizon Chimera?
Boon Satyr, of course. I'm playing 2 Arbor Colossus, 3 Polychronos.
I see. So it's like some mid-range creature
it's
stuff.
mid-range, and I'm playing 4 Sylvan Caryatid and 4 Voyaging Satyr.
Oh, How are the Voyaging Satyrs playing for you?
They're fine for the 2-drop get to 4, which is all I want them for. But,
I see.
you know, I'd probably cut them down to like 1 or 2. Maybe even just go Gyre Sage instead.
But it's super relevant having the any color ramp as long as you have the land,
Mhm.
because you need the double color for some stuff, or what?
It's just nice to have access to everything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
4 mana is really where the deck starts going on.
So,
Polychronos
so
or...
Elvish Mystic isn't necessarily very important early.
No, because I'm not trying to go turn 2 Bloon Satyr. I'm trying to go turn 3, I'm flashing something in on your turn, or I'm countering your spell. You know?
You could do turn. It's possible to do turn 2 dissolve.
That's true.
But
you have to
it'd be
get
very narrow.
2 life on the first turn, and
You have to play.
you're
Blue
better off
Sage.
just doing Syncopate then, you know, and doing
Yeah, that's true.
guaranteed
Counter
turn
spell.
2 on, counter on turn 2.
Yeah, that's up. Are you playing Syncopate?
Yeah, I play 2 Syncopate.
How many dissolve? 2? Or
I'm
more?
wondering if I'm not playing any Dissolve because I was like, maybe I just don't want that.
Oh,
but
okay.
I
It
think I
wasn't.
was playing 2 Dissolve and then like 1 Mystic Genesis also.
I gotta say, I had high expectations of dissolve, and I'm kind of surprised.
It's
Maybe
better than Cancel.
It'll see some more play, hopefully soon. I really thought this was a great counterspell.
No, it's better than Cancel. So
That's it. Huh?
Yeah, I'd much rather have Dissipate personally. Scry 1, it's good. It's just not, you know.
It still doesn't feel worth the cost.
No, I mean it's not draw a card. Which if it was counter target spell, draw a card, then discard a card, this card would be great.
Yeah. Well, you remember Dream Fracture.
Mm-hmm. And I love that card.
Yeah, I think some other control players I know did too. Dream Fracture was also a 3 mana one, but each player got to draw a card, so
Yeah.
it was that was an interesting one.
But if it was like forced you to draw a discard, you know, if you didn't have a lot of cards in your hand, it could potentially hurt you.
Remand was actually a really crazy one. I felt like this was one of the
This
more
is so strong.
this was one of the more powerful counter spells.
It's Time Walk. It is Time Walk.
It's 2 mana counter target spell. If you do, return that spell card to its owner's hand, and you draw a card. So it says put it into its owner's hand. Yeah, instead of that player's graveyard, they added some text with the Oracle text. That's interesting. I wonder why they had to do that. I guess they have to specify.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, Remand was a sick one. So I'm sorry I interrupted you. Are you in game 3? Your match 3?
Oh, match 3. I played. What is Buck playing? Is it Jund still,
Yeah.
or is he
Yep.
Junk?
I feel like it was Jund.
Okay. Well, I played against him, and he got mana screwed in game 1. So actually, he got mulligan screwed. He mulled down to like 3 cards,
Oh my god.
and still didn't have a land in his hand when he took it, and so it was.
That
just
doesn't
like,
sound good
yeah,
for him.
did not go well for him. I
Okay.
was just like, oh, a turn 2 ramp, and then Polychronos, and then Arbor Colossus, and then Prime Speaker Zagana, and it was like
Draw a million.
the perfect like roll out my hand.
And he also 3.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like the worst time to get that.
It happens.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
But it was cool to see my deck be able to just lay threat after threat and be like, this one? No, this one? And then I can't remember what happened. I think I got him again in game 2, but maybe not.
And his deck is like Stormbreath Dragons and Rakdos Keyrune, and I'm trying to think I think he was still playing this.
I thought it was too, but I know he was playing green and black for sure,
Okay.
if nothing else.
Well,
he might have been doing junk as well.
When I played against him last Friday, it was Jund, and it was like Anger of the Gods and stuff, I think. And actually, maybe not. He definitely had Sylvan Caryatid.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
I know what he was
had
playing.
that.
He was playing the green-black,
Gaze of Granite.
what's the 4/5 that
Oh,
gains
yeah.
hexproof?
Reaper of the Wilds.
He was playing Reaper of the Wilds and Scavenging Ooze.
Mhm.
So a lot very value creatures. 4 mana 4/5. Whenever another creature dies, scry 1. Black gains Death Touch. Green colorless gains hexproof until end of turn. It's pretty impressive.
Mhm.
It's a good spell. It's very efficient. So I went up against that and I lost. Oh, and Xenagos was in there too.
Mm.
So there's some
Yeah,
really
I don't
good
think
stuff in
that's
Jund.
what he was playing this time. I think it was maybe what.
Jund.
Maybe he was playing Jund though, because maybe he had Rakdos' return in his deck this week. I can't remember, but
But when I played against that was a
Yeah.
good deck. I mean,
yeah,
it's solid.
it's solid.
It's a lot. I mean, Stormbreath Dragon is insane too, and there's enough fixing to make it work with the Caryatid, especially. Oops.
Oh, it found it anyway.
So Stormbreath Dragon, like I said, it's not Thundermaw Hellkite, but it's still very good.
Yeah,
And-
it has potential to do a lot more than Thundermaw Hellkite could too, because it can like just blast your opponent to the face too.
The monstrosity is certainly interesting. I
I've
think
had
it's relevant.
I've had it be relevant.
It's definitely
I guess,
relevant.
before.
And protection from white is definitely relevant too.
Yeah.
Protection from detention sphere is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Or Azorius Charm, either one of those two.
Yeah, and those are both highly played in control lists.
Mhm.
So, good card. Stormbreath Dragon, still good.
Mhm.
Okay, so how did you do in that round?
Well, I beat Buck.
Both. Okay.
Yeah, and then our last round I drew into top 8. So, but we did play, and I played against blue-white control, and it was very difficult. You know, fundamentally, I'm still a creature-based deck, and you know, even playing stuff on his turn, it really didn't affect him too terribly.
Did he win or did you win?
He won.
Okay.
Once an Elspeth came down, if I didn't have a flyer online and was not able to attack in, it was over. You know.
Okay.
Once those tokens start coming out, it's just
Yeah.
like, oh.
It's an army real fast.
She really goes army mode way fast. And
Yeah.
he could have done Elspeth and wipe your board when he played her too. He could have done that, but he just produced the tokens, and that was even devastating because none of my guys had trample. So, and the really funny thing is I took Nilia out of my deck before effing him. So
Do you wish you'd left the Nilia in?
not
in
necessarily,
retrospect?
but having access to trample would have been really helpful.
Yeah. I mean, I think we were both, during reviews, kind of underwhelmed with Nilia.
Mhm.
But we
Just
saw-
giving trample
yeah.
has been proven itself to be very relevant
Yeah,
for at
it
least
has.
mono green.
No, I agree. Okay.
So then in top 8, I did play mono green and lost to it first round.
Okay.
I was actually getting mana screwed in both the games I lost. I think I did win 1 against him, but he got me in 2, obviously, or in 3, game 3. But he was just able to roll out his hand faster than I could, and I couldn't keep up with what I was doing. So didn't really work to my advantage. And Burning Tree Emissary without a way to just wipe the board clean
It's very
is
quick.
very difficult. Yeah,
Yep.
and actually the Reverend Hunter, he played it for like as a 7/7, you know.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Reverend Hunter's kind of cool. Definitely a cool card. I could see spots where it'd be bad, but I can see spots where it's real good too.
Mhm.
Especially with how much Burning Tree puts you up there for making him huge for
Yeah.
an efficient cost. But it really does require others. But I don't know. It's cool to see Devotion being played. I'll say that.
Yeah, I will say that too. I like it. I'm glad to see it.
Okay. So Jake did way better than I did, and it was with green-blue flashy deck.
Yeah. I also was playing Prophet of Krufix.
Which is cool.
Yeah,
And maybe we
as a
want to...
2-up.
Why don't we just fill that?
and
Too.
when I got it out, if I had Arbor Colossus or
I don't know.
Polychronos in my hand, it was really great. If I didn't, it didn't really affect anything other than I got to Krufix's with a K.
Okay. So 5 mana, 2/3, human wizard. Untap all creatures and lands you control during each other player's untap step. You may cast creature cards as those they had flash. Yeah. I had to play this against Unlimited, someone Unlimited, and it was insane.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely strong.
Yeah, if you have any sort of way to draw cards. So that's kind of why I wish I would have had Divination or some effects like that
Yeah.
to take advantage of being able to tap out on my
I
turn.
like that.
So like Urban Evolution and Prophet of Krufix are probably really great together because you could see more creatures, you get to play an extra land, so you could play something else really devastating on their turn. And if you get the Polychronos out first, and you have a Sylvan Caryatid out, you know, you're already a turn ahead. You could potentially have your Prime Speaker online really early as a 6/6. It was
True.
It was a fun deck to play.
That's cool. It sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Prophet of Krufix, really cool and limited with Bestow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great with Bestow.
I mean, in your deck it's irrelevant because Boon Satyr already has it,
Mhm.
but like with the non-flash
But
Bestow
even
guys,
just playing Boon Satyr, I know how
he's
awesome
insane. Yeah.
Flash with Bestow is.
Yeah.
It's really great.
It's insane. So it's just cool to be able to do that in limited
Mhm.
if you've got it. All right. Let's take a look at this recent event in Raleigh, and deck that won, what is this, black, white, red control.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 Blood Baron, 4 Boros Reckoner, 3 Desecration Demon, 2 Obsidian. And then the spells are Read the Bones, Rakdos Return, Mizium Mortars, Dreadbore, Anger the Gods, Whip of Erebus, Hero's Downfall, Rakdos Keyrune. This looks like a really cool list, actually. Looks like it's well geared to take out aggro right away.
Definitely.
But,
Mizium Mortars times 4 is really sweet, too.
I would say this would have a very difficult time with blue-white control. Wouldn't you say? Maybe not, but it kind of feels like it would. Not a huge problem. I just feel like
They'd have a lot of dead cards except for the Rakdos' return.
I feel like they definitely don't have the upper hand in that match.
Yeah,
the 4 Mizium Mortars main deck is kind of a bold move.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I mean, it's trying to be control. So
I'm surprised that they don't even want to try the Elspeth Sun Champion in the main deck, you know, to give them a little more
ways to win. Yeah.
It also combos so well with Whip, you know, if you're control.
Interesting. Well, they go into Slaughter Games.
Yeah.
And they go into Thoughtseize and Merciless Eviction. Interesting. Another Obsidian, Hero's Downfall, Doomblade. So they've got some good options at their disposal. And their creature suit is really good. I mean, Blood Baron against Red Deck wins. Obviously very relevant with the lifelink and all. And Boros Reckoner, definitely relevant. And as is Desecration Demon. Obsidian's a big deal against both control and aggro.
Yeah.
So
and Boros Reckoner actually works really well with Anger of the Gods, too.
Yeah, that's true. Rakdos Keyrune is probably the only really playable Keyrune that I've seen.
Yeah, I think so.
The first strike is really relevant with the 3 power.
Ortov Keyrune is sort of okay, but it's not the same as Rakdos. It's not going to kill people the way that Rakdos Keyrune does.
Yeah, and ramp you and fix you, so that's cool. I'm glad to see at least one of the Keyrunes made it. I don't think any other one really...
No, I think you're better off playing Chromatic Lantern, honestly, if you're going to play a Keyrune.
This one's just... It's cool that they have a creature that's a good blocker. I think that's a good idea. They at least have to use a burn spell on it or something. So this looks like a pretty good list, actually. It would do very well against me, I think, with all that main deck removal. Second, yeah, I mean, it looks like it beat Mono Red.
Yeah.
In the finals. Let's see what he was playing.
Well, Whip plus Arab or Obsidian beats.
Yeah, definitely. 4 Ash Zealot, 4 Boros Reckoner, 4 Burning Tree Emissary, 4 Chandra's Phoenix, 4 Fire Fist Striker, 4 Gorehouse Chainwalker, 4 Cackler.
Well, he was playing 3 Anger of the Gods, too.
4 Lightning Strike, 4 Magma Jet, 4 Shock, and then sideboard was 4 Frostburn Weird, 4 Mind Sparker, 4 Skullcrack, 3 Toil. Interesting.
Wow.
That's cool. So playing it for trouble, obviously.
That's a good idea.
This looks like a fun list. After playing Magma Jet a little bit, I feel like it's just a little bit on the weak side. It's just not quite over the top enough of what Red Deck Wins needs to do early.
Yeah. What it really is good for, though, is to get rid of those lands early too.
Definitely. You know, I really like playing it during upkeep.
Yeah.
Definitely like playing it during upkeep, where it's like burn you, and then increase my card quality plus draw the right card for that turn. So it is cool in that way. You know.
Yeah.
The Ash Zealot definitely. You know, I'm hearing really good things about it, and I'm not playing it, so maybe I really need to strongly consider this card more. The first strike on this is very relevant when it goes alongside burn, because then you can kill the smiter with like a shock.
Yeah.
You know, or at least they're not going to block, which is what you want anyway.
Right.
So I think I just feel like I'd have a harder time running it because of the double red, because I'm doing the 4 Mutavault. Like this deck's not running Mutavault, which is kind of surprising too. Why they wouldn't be? I guess for the Reckoners, they were just more interested in that.
Yeah, they're all in on the Gorehouse Chainwalker though. So they are going to get advantage off that Burning Tree Emissary.
Mono Blue Devotion. This looks like something fun, huh? 4 Frostburn Weird, 4 Master of Ways, 4 Omen Speaker, 4 Tidebinder Mage, 4 Thassa, 4 Jace, Architect of Thought, 3 Claustrophobia, 1 Domestication, 2 Cyclonic Rift, 2 Dissolve, 3 Quicken, and I'm kind of happy to see
4 Nykthos.
Wow.
That's
really
a
amazing.
legendary land.
Yep, well, I mean, I guess it makes... Actually...
It
this
doesn't.
deck's not. No, the Claustrophobia does. And the
Domestication
Domestication,
gives you too, yeah.
So they're getting it from these. And
But
Jace.
Domestication's not as good as it could be, you know.
Yeah.
It's like...
It's not good enough.
No, it only steals Boros Reckoner and keeps it. Like.
Well, that one's actually kind of cool. I didn't think about that one.
But that's the only one, because everything else that you're wanting to remove as a blocker is 4 power.
4 Jace, though. That's also good for your Thassa and your Nykthos. But you're right. Well, I mean, if you're monocolor, Nykthos is pretty easy to play.
Yeah, and I guess you top out at 4 potentially.
This deck looks like fun though. Let's look at the next list down. I think
Wait,
that list was a little
He
more
was running
intriguing.
Quicken with no sorceries either.
It's literally just as a cantrip, or
Yeah,
what?
I think so.
Yeah, that is strange.
Why not just play something else, you know?
That's really strange. Wonder why that is. I wonder if it's because he wants to be able to Omen Speaker and get that card
Immediately?
on the opponent's turn or keep up a counterspell or something. So it's like, okay, I'll counter something that's relevant. If not, I'll just quicken and I'll get my Omen Speaker scryed card.
Yeah,
And the next card, too.
I suppose. I mean, it could be.
I don't really know. It does seem strange. Maybe out of the side? No. Gainsay, though, and Rapid Hybridization. That's cool. I felt like the other mono blue list we looked
Yeah,
at was
actually, what
cooler.
I'm surprised is that he's not playing Night Veil Spectre in the main deck, and he chose to play Quicken instead.
Yeah, that is weird. So this next list we're looking at, another mono blue. This one's doing the Night Veil Spectres with the Master of Waves and Judge's Familiar, Cloudfin Raptor as well. Anything else different? Less Jace.
This one's
got Mutavaults.
This one puts more permanents out.
This one has 6 colorless lands with the Nykthos and the Mutavaults.
Yeah, but the Nykthos in this one is at least at 2 instead of 4.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Cyclonic Rift and Bident of Thassa, which we did not see in the other lists, I don't think. This looks like fun. Swan Song outside, that's surprising.
Yeah.
Multiple domestications, so they're really like, let's take that Reckoner. This list looks like fun, though. I'm excited to see Night Veil Spectre doing something with Devotion.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It is really cool.
And the Master of Waves, the turn progression on that is very good. Definitely interesting to see Master of Waves seeing some play. I mean, this card would be very good against me, to be perfectly honest. That's another call for Chain to the Rocks.
Yeah.
Another reason why just being monocolor is probably
It's a little risky.
leaves yourself more vulnerable.
You just need to know which monocolor not to be, and each color actually has something that's against it. So,
yeah.
like Stormbreath Dragon is mono against mono white, as is Blood Baron of Viscopa, and then also he's against mono black. But at least mono black can make you sack things.
Tidebinder, definitely good against red as well. Like, this is main deck set up real well.
Oh, this guy's only playing 3 Thassa. I think I like that more anyway.
Yeah, I think I do too. Thassa's sweet, though.
She is really good. I probably would play the full complement of Architect of Thought. I'd probably maybe cut the Cloudfin Raptor.
Yeah, Raptor's kind of a bold move. I'd almost want a little bit of counterspell going on. But this looks pretty aggressive, actually. 29 creatures is huge. Plus 4 Mutavault. It's actually 33 creatures in this deck.
Yeah.
So it's very creature intensive.
Yeah, I'm not even totally sold on the Mutavault as a 4 of either.
Yeah, it's pretty, I guess he wants it as, like, Chumper or Trader.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just that you have Night Veil Spectre. The thing about Nykthos here, I guess the only thing about Nykthos is that it helps you to get Cyclonic Rift or activate Thassa. Because it's not really putting you forward for anything else.
Mm-hmm. That is actually kind of cool with Bident of Thassa, though. I do like Mutavault there.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, so that you can just get in with it and draw cards
Yeah.
even after they board wipe.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's some good card
And
advantage.
Bident's really great with Thassa because it avoids the board wipe and you have 3 Devotion just sitting there.
Yeah,
so
that's
playing
true.
Frostburn or Tidebinder afterwards.
Activates it and you
Yeah.
can attack. That's some good extra Devotion. I like that.
Yeah.
The Claustrophobia is cool, too. You know, it's cool to see that because of Devotion.
I think I like it more in the main deck, actually.
Like the other list was doing?
Yeah, because it does stop, like,
a lot of big
on
threats.
Smiter and Desecration Demon.
Even Stormbreath Dragon, even though you have
Yeah.
to eat the 4, it's nice to be able to, like, take it out.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it can still Monstrosity, too, but...
Yeah, but at least, like, a red deck typically can't deal with an enchantment, and even the black-white-red control couldn't deal with an enchantment out of its main deck, you know?
Yeah.
So you can still
Stop
tap
the
down,
Desecration Demon.
Yeah, the Desecration Demon, steal the Reckoner with
And actually, you can
Investigation.
tap down the Blood Baron of Viscopa, too, which would feel really good.
That would feel incredible, actually.
And even Reckoner.
Mhm.
Locking on the Reckoner, super relevant.
Yeah. So I do like Claustrophobia in a main deck, but
Let's look at this green-white. This is something that's primarily good against mono-red because it's, wow, this one's doing the main deck Unflinching Courage. Definitely a strong move. So this is really where the Chain of the Rocks comes in handy because you're playing some pretty aggressive stuff. Boon Satyrs, definitely huge. Voice of Resurgence, Fleece Mane, Experiment 1, Dryad Militant.
And they're doing full-on 3 Rootborn defenses main, too.
4 Advent of the Worm, too, so just really strong. 4 Call of the Conclave. Very strong looking deck.
Many tokens.
Yep, this looks like a very good deck.
Yeah.
Very good. And the fixing's just fine. Sideboard, they've got some Glare of Heresy, probably for Elspeth.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Very good against Elspeth.
Spear of Heliod. Good against certain threats, for sure.
God, Sundering Growth is very good for this deck to have. Actually.
Trust Fanny, definitely sick with the Advent of the Worm. Sundering Growth, definitely I like to populate with the Advent. Plummets, makes sense. Maybe Archangel of Thune or Desecration Demon. All relevant. Wait, does Blood Baron gain?
It gains flying once you're at 10 and they're at 30.
Okay, so that's actually kind of cool,
Yeah.
too.
Stop Storm Breath.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, that one's what it's for sure. And Pithing Needle, presumably for maybe Mutavault or...
Could do Mutavault, could do Elspeth or Jace or
Yeah,
Raid.
Yep.
There's many Planeswalkers you could name.
That's true.
And
So
they're
that's
not
relevant.
running any, so they don't give a shit.
This is the list that primarily is just geared to beat mono reds. This is where I'd really want to see Chain of the Rocks kind of shining and seeing how much work it can do against this. Taking out the tokens or taking out the 2-for-1, getting the 2-for-1 value with the Unflinching Courage. The only problem would be Fleece Mane Lion if they get it Monstrosity. I mean, that is some really good synergy there.
Trample 6/6 Indestructible Hexproof.
Yeah, it's very ridiculous.
Oh, and Lifelink.
Very difficult to deal with. Let's see, Bant.
Yeah.
This is going to be a control. This is Ali and Trazi.
Oh, I see. He's running 2 Horizon Chimera here.
It's good to see Angel Serenity back. So Angel Serenity, Archangel of Thune, Elvish Mystic, Rising Chimera, Mana Wet Sliver, Master Biomancer. Interesting. Prophet of Krufix, Sylvan Caryatid, Prime Speaker Zagana. This is actually fairly close to...
This is like similar to the direction I would like to take my deck, so that's cool.
Elspeth Sun's Champion, Jace, and Primeval Bounty. That's kind of cool. And Sphinx's Revelation. Aetherling out of sideboard, 1. 4 Smiters, 4 Mistcutter Hydra, Tension Sphere, 4 Unflinching Courage. Jace Memory Depth. This looks good. This looks like it's well geared with the Courage, especially to take out some
and
aggro.
actually to turn into like a mid-range stompy deck because of the Smiters too.
as well.
I would actually just not even play the Master Biomancer's main deck, I don't think, and I'd play an Aetherling.
It's cool to see Pyromancer, though. You know, this card was never really played that much, and I feel like it's cool. I really want to see it played.
To me, it's niche. You know, like, it is cool, but it benefits most of the Horizon Chimera, probably. See, he's going with Mana Wet Sliver instead of with Voyaging Satyr.
I feel like Master Biomancer would be really
This
sick.
guy's all in ramp, too. He's got the Mystics as well.
This card would be sweet with a bestowed Boon Satyr on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Bestow the
that's
Boon
very
Satyr,
true.
and then you play a creature. He's not playing Boon Satyr, though. Surprisingly.
Yeah, that is really surprising.
But this looks cool. I mean, it's cool that he's playing some similar cards, too. I wonder how Primeval Bounty played for him. Must be decently well. He had...
Fantastic creature. Yeah, 6th place.
He had 25 creatures main deck, so...
And whenever you play a land. Yeah. I don't like Primeval Bounty myself, but it must be good for him. Must have been good for him.
Let's check out red-green aggro. So we've got 4 Elvish Mystic, 4 Gorkland Rampager, 4 Scavenging Ooze, 4 Stormbreath Dragon, 4 Zerta Druid. That's cool. 4 Boon Satyr, 1 Polychronos, 2 Rurik Thar, 1 Chandra Pyromaster, 4 Domri Raid, 1 Xenagos the Reveler, 3 Mizium Mortars. This looks fun.
This one does look like a fun
deck. It's a fun, strong deck. Gorkland Rampager is an excellent card. Boon Satyr, definitely, we already know that's good. Polychronos, efficient. Double Rurik Thar, kind of surprising, but cool nonetheless. I mean, he's got the Elvish Mystic and the Zerta Druid ramp, so it's definitely doable. I feel like it's very powerful against Azorius Charm and stuff like that. 3 Mizium Mortars, definitely a bold choice. I think he was definitely thinking of his ways to take out Smiter. That was a bigger priority than being able to burn Faith with like a Lightning Strike or something.
Well,
Sideboard.
he can go overhead with Gore Clan Rampager too, so he doesn't necessarily need a burn to the face spell when he can just trample over blockers.
Gore Clan Rampager, amazingly strong spell. Sideboard, we see Ratchet Bomb, Mistcutter Hydra, Destructive Revelry, Shock, Polykranos, Rurik Thar, Xenagos, Flames of the Firebrand, Mizium Mortar. So kind of an interesting mix of spells in the sideboard. It's like, I guess, more creatures and more creatures against control maybe, and more
Rurik
burn
Thar,
against
yeah.
the aggro decks.
Yeah, he's probably just trying to play stuff. I would say Polykranos, Rurik Thar, and Xenagos are all just there against control, because I think they're all
As well as the Mistcutter
Hydra.
Hydras.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, definitely the Rurik Thar, Mistcutter Hydra.
And I think Xenagos too, because that's different.
Yeah, maybe not the Polykranos, but Polykranos against the aggro deck.
Yeah, that is much better.
Very good.
Probably take
With
out
the double
Rurik
ramp.
Thar against aggro decks for the Polykranos.
It's cool to see Polykranos being played.
Yeah, it is.
And it played fairly well. I played in a draft where someone had this with Bow of Nilia, and then they attacked in.
No, that's really great.
And then Monstrosity for 3 and just killed all my
Your
creatures.
board, yeah. Yep, that's great synergy.
Yeah, it was pretty dirty. Let's see, the last list is Esper Control. So, Jake, why don't you evaluate this one? You're the control connoisseur.
1 Aetherling, which makes sense. 3 Ashiok, 3 Elspeth, and 3 Jace. 3 Detention Sphere, 3 Azorius Charm, 3 Essence Scatter, 2 Far, so far and away, basically. 3 Heroes Downfall, 3 Sphinx's Revelation, 3 Syncopate, 3 Supreme Verdict, and 3 Thoughtseize. This guy does not want to commit.
This guy likes
likes
3 ofs a lot.
Yeah. But that's okay, because he's presumably drawing a lot of cards off Sphinx's Revelation, is not playing a second draw spell, except for the 3 Azorius Charm, which I find a little strange.
Very surprised to see Ashiok. I'm curious how that played for him today. Because I still have my reservations about this card.
What is it that you don't like about it?
I feel like it's not doing enough in
every
match.
I think you just need to think about how control wants it. Even if you attack this the following turn, you have to attack it for 5 damage, to kill it. If you don't kill it, then it's going to continue to generate the value, and the turn that you play this is the turn before a Supreme Verdict.
I want to see it played. I'm curious about it.
People are still running it, so it must be doing something. Like it must be really good.
I want to see it because I have my reservations just because I don't know how it plays. I haven't seen it in action, so I want to. If it plays well, in the meta especially, I'm curious. I'm very curious to see how this card works.
Okay.
Because it's a cheap Planeswalker, and I'll definitely give it a chance. It's intriguing. Elspeth, I've already seen that. This card is insane.
That card's crazy.
Make Army. So crazy. Yeah, Elspeth turned out to be insane.
Yeah.
And Jace, it's cool to see him coming back. Actually,
yeah.
his +1 was. This is a good Jace.
This is the time for the +1 to be relevant, I think, because Jace comes down the
Stops
turn.
the Elspeth tokens, which is nice.
Yeah. Jace comes down like the turn before everyone's threats get online now, instead of coming down when you already have several 2-power guys out. So you're looking at a more stable board position before Jace gets out there, and then when you play him, they're not easily able to remove him. And I feel like last time, like when Innistrad Block was in, and they had the full red-black Hellrider deck around, or zombies, just mono-black zombies, it was really simple to just be like, oh, well, I've got 2 Diregraph Ghouls and a Grave Prowler, or, more out at this point. I'll definitely attack Jace and kill him, But he's got a little more staying power this time around, which I like.
Going to 5 is huge. And weakening your opponent's creatures. That makes them very difficult to kill.
It does, but...
In some situations. Only against the smaller guys, not against the fat guys.
But there's also, still Dreadbore and still...
Heroes Downfall, Detention Sphere.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
many ways to kill a Planeswalker right now, which is fine.
He's not horribly priced, though, either.
No.
The 4 is like the standard Planeswalker cost, I feel like.
I think it's like their go-to for, this is going to be your middle-of-the-road Planeswalker that can do a lot of different things, needs a little help, but can do a lot of different things. And I like that. because I think Ralzeric is kind of the same way in my opinion. He can help you if you're trying to ramp on one turn. He can help you if you're trying to attack in. He can also kill something or kill a couple things or even kill your opponent outright, you know. And I'm trying to think of who else is like that, but I can't. I don't know. But I like him. I like Jace right now. He's really good.
Yeah. And you mentioned Ralzeric, right? Did you say his name? He's
cool. He's still not. There's no deck built around him. I think that Izzet actually can be a deck.
I really like Ralzeric a lot. I'd like to see some play. I wonder what's his price tag at? What's he looking at?
He's only like maybe $11 or so.
Oh, that's
maybe.
cool.
He might be a little.
I like him a lot. I think
he's
cool.
actually a really strong card probably for red deck wins. Being able to tap down a blocker for a turn to let your guys get in.
Are there any other blue burn right now? Izzet Charm isn't quite burn.
No, there's not really. It would be Splash for blue.
There must be one other one. Is there none?
I don't think there are.
Interesting.
You could have access to Teleportal though.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, Ralzeric's cool. I'd like to see some play as well. It's cool that you get the double lightning bolt.
Yeah, double lightning bolt. If they're like,
if you run, see the cool thing about that is you run 4 Ralzeric then, and you're just like bolt, Ralzeric, bolt. That's really strong.
Yeah,
I really like that a lot.
And he might actually be particularly good against control as just like a burn finisher. You know,
yeah,
just
actually.
To be like, oh, I'll just play.
What do you think about blue, white, red like burn?
I was thinking about that. Call it big red burn. I don't know, but it could work.
It's all burn spells, and like, is there enough to get there consistently? You can make the mana base work.
Well, you can just play Jace, Ralzeric, and Elspeth too.
I almost wish Anger of the Gods dealt to players too. Then that would feel right at home in that deck. Because you could be like...
Well, it's kind of between that and Mizium Mortars, because if you run both... I mean, you could run 100% spell, or something like with Nivik, Cyclops, and Frostburn Weird, where you're just going to survive the Anger of the Gods anyway. You know?
Yeah.
And then you can swing in afterward. Like, Nivik Cyclops being particularly good because it's a 4/4 than when you swing after you play the Anger.
Or any other burn spell. So,
and at least they block him really well, too. The only problem is 4 toughness guys.
I got to look at more Izzet spells, I think. Let's see what the best ones are.
But you don't even have to do full burn, because you can also do Stormbreath Dragon in that same deck.
Yeah, I just want to see what options are in Izzet. It's been a while since I've gone over the Return to Ravnica. But, all right, I think that's going to be it for this podcast. So, thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this podcast and the Theros drafts I've been posting. Still going to be posting a lot more soon, I'm sure. And I got a chance recently to do the quadruple Grey Merchant of Asphodel with Whip of Erebus, so it was insanely good. It was very fun. Playing back-to-back Grey Merchants, just really sick. And with Whip, it just gets out of control because it's like you can just keep attacking it. It's like,
if you have
block it or kill it.
Too, then it's like, oh, I have Whip out, and now I'll play Grey Merchant, and you lose 4, I gain 4.
Yeah, so they're like totally unmotivated to kill the Grey Merchant, but at the same time, he's attacking it and gaining you life. So it's just really good synergy together. But there's also just the common, maybe it's Farika's Messenger, or what's the one that's...
Mender. The Gorgon that gets you a creature or enchantment back?
Nope, not that one. Maybe it's not a Farika card then. It's 2 and 2 black.
Oh, Disciple of Phoenix.
Disciple of Phoenix?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is this is a good common. 2 and 2 black, 1/3, human cleric, and when it enters, they reveal a number of cards from his or her hand equal to your devotion to black, and you choose one when that player discards that card. It's almost like a mini bribery.
Yeah.
What I like, though, is even though it's expensive, it feels really good and limited because it gives you some information as well as guarantees gets rid of a card. And sometimes it can reveal their whole hand and be really relevant, you know?
Well, this alongside Thoughtseize, you know, there's a lot of things that Mono Black can do right now. And Mono Black can play Duress as well. I still think Thoughtseize is probably more relevant because you can get creatures off of it, including gods.
What's the new 2-mana 2/2 flying lifelink for 2 and 2 black?
Insatiable Harpy.
This card is just insanely good in this set because we've got all of these bestow cards I played in one of the matches of that. I played against a guy who had we had a huge war of attrition. And then he had the Leaf Crown Dryad. Is that the 2/2 bestow?
Mhm.
Okay, reach one. And then he played like a Horizon Scholar, and I just had I had an Insatiable Heartbeat, and I had bestowed the red Emissary on it. So it was like a 5/5 flying lifelink, couldn't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. So then I like drew a Magma Jet off the top and just
Oh wow.
aced the little Leaf Crown Dryad, and he couldn't block. So Insatiable Harpy is insane with all these bestow spells. It just gets like outrageously good.
Mm-hmm.
And even without it, it's just good in this set.
Yeah,
It's funny that it's like strictly worse than Vampire Nighthawk. Couldn't be more strictly worse than the Nighthawk.
Yeah.
Lower toughness.
It couldn't be
one
any
more
more
mana. It really couldn't. One less toughness, one more mana, one less ability. So,
but in a block where you can give a creature an additional power and toughness or more for 4 mana, and then have a creature left over, I think this feels right. I think if you gave it the additional toughness, if you also gave it Death Touch and reduced its cost, it would be a monster in this set. You know,
those bestow spells in limited are absolutely insane.
Yeah.
All the emissaries.
You can make it a 3/3 lifelink, flying lifelink Death Touch with a Baleful Eidolon still in limited, and that's the turn after you play it, which would be very good.
Yeah, definitely. I like all those little Eidolons. They've panned out to be pretty good. The white one in particular is like this set's Mark of the Vampire. I've had full-on game flips because of that. You put it on like a Volpine Goliath. Suddenly you've got a lifelink, a Trampler, 7/6. You know,
any of the heroic guys.
So I recommend
great with.
If you're in those colors or thinking about it, I think that's actually a very high pick. Because then it's a chump blocker that gains you a life too. So its 2 uses are really valuable, I think. And it's like 1 mana, 1/1 lifelink, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a Nip Willand.
Yeah, it's still something you can play early and then bestow onto itself, you know, like with more of different things. So
digging it. All right. Well, I think that's going to be it for this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, learning some things. Next Friday, are you planning on playing a similar list, maybe changing a couple things?
I'll probably brew something different completely, actually. I'm thinking mono black right now.
Wow. All right. Well, I like Jake's adventurous spirit. He's actually...
I love new formats.
No, I think it's great because he's going to really give a lot of information around the board for us. But I'm going to stick with this Boros idea, or light Boros burn essentially. But I'll tell you how that goes. We'll see how Dino Charge plays for me. All right. Thanks, guys. See you later.